Hi, Justine Froelker here. Let's discuss two scenarios. First scenario, something that someone says or posts or how they voted hurts you. You feel like it is harmful to you. And you lash out. Tell them what's wrong with them, shame them, judge them, convince them, okay? We do it. We do it because it is scarier to lean into our hurt. That's harder to feel than to just hurl it onto someone else, especially them. Or maybe you don't hurl it onto them because they have power over you or influence over you or something. So you go home and hurl it to your loved ones, the people you live with, because emotional pain has to go somewhere. And so what happens though is I want to get curious about what that thing that they said or how they voted or what they posted, what that brings up for me, get curious about it, and then really do I have a relationship with that person? Do I need to go to them and talk with them about it and say, hey, that thing that you said or that you posted or when I found out that you voted for me, that feels really hurtful because can you help me understand where that comment came from or how come you voted that way or whatever else? And then you get to have a really tough conversation. Now, obviously these conversations are done best when they are with the person that you are in relationship with, that you have a relationship built on trust, right? And so the other piece too is when it comes to things that are they're non-negotiable, guys, human rights, anti-racism work, things like that. When we go back to that person and we kind of say what you said, who you voted for is hurtful to me, they might respond in a way that lashes back out to you, that they struggle to accept responsibility. So let's flip this scenario. Let's say that I have said something, done something, someone found out how I voted and it has hurt them, and they come to me to hold me accountable to the work, to let me know that I have hurt them. Now again, done way better and more courageous when it's done in a relationship that is built on trust. They come to me and say, hey, that really hurt me. I think you got some work to do around anti-racism or human rights, things like that. I might feel shame when I am held accountable. When I screw something up, when I hurt someone, which we're going to do all the time, especially if we choose to love, we're not perfect. We're going to screw this up. When I am held accountable in a way that is built on truth, kindness, compassion, and again, within a relationship of trust, I still may feel shame. In which case, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. I cannot believe I did that. My self-talk is I'm such a loser. I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to be able to get better. Why do I even try? When I am in shame, there is not much capacity for me to make change. So what oftentimes comes up is I get defensive because I'm not willing to lean into shame. We've all got shame. We all know what that warm wash of not feeling worthy of connection. And so when someone holds me accountable, even when done in a courageous way, that doesn't mean that I might not then still experience shame. And the thing about shame is it's not in alignment with my truth. It's not in alignment with my values. It is not really going to be based on connection. So too often I'm going to come up with defense and then hurl back my hurt onto that person who is really just trying to hold me accountable out of love. Because shame is not motivating for change. Whether or not you are shamed by someone else or you shame yourself. When someone holds me accountable because I have hurt them, I may experience shame. It is my responsibility as a responsible adult who wants to live with courage, to become self-aware, to lean into the discomfort of that feeling of shame, to wrestle with it, to get my thinking brain back on track. This probably means that I've got to take a break, take a pause. I'm not really fit for human consumption. I definitely do not need to be posting on social media or maybe even talking back with that person right away. I need to kind of remove myself, get my emotions a little bit managed, get my thinking brain back on track, probably check in with Chad, my husband, or one of my best friends and kind of rumble it out with them, and then go back to make amends, to say, I am sorry, you're right, I want to do better. This is what I'm going to do to fix this. This is what I'm going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. Is there anything else that will repair this? Thank you for grace. Thank you for allowing me to circle back and to make it right and to begin again. I've got to kind of shift my shame into that guilt of, you know what? That wasn't okay. That's not who I want to be. That's not in alignment with my values. I want to change this. So in other words, holding someone accountable to do the work of courage, of anti-racism work, of human rights work, of setting boundaries, of loving well, of taking care of themselves, of being reliable and accountable. Holding people accountable to that is important in healthy relationships, personal or at work. We need accountability. That's how we change. It must be done in this way that comes from kindness, compassion, and accountability. When it's delivered in a way that is shaming, we can count on change being minimal and not lasting long. However, it doesn't mean that I don't still shame myself. So again, it comes back to our own stuff. If someone says, scenario one, if someone says something that is disappointing to me or hurts me, I first need to recognize what's that bringing up for me, my hurt. Instead of hurling my hurt, I need to get curious about it. Second scenario, if someone holds me accountable in a non-shaming way, from a place of love and trust and care of, hey, that wasn't okay. I think you got some work to do. I might still experience shame. Again, my job to lean in, get curious, become self-aware of what that is bringing up in me before I hurl it onto the people I love and lead, let alone hurling it on social media or at work. Being shamed is different than holding people accountable to do the work that is necessary to heal what is going on in our world right now. It does not mean, though, that someone that you are holding accountable may not go down that shame spiral. Self-awareness. It is not easy work. I have taught for a very long time that shame will never be motivating for change. Whether or not you are shaming other people for how they think, feel, and behave, or you are shaming yourself because you have been held accountable to doing some work. Shame is not sustaining. The work of courage is very difficult, and it is much needed, and it is our path forward because it creates connection. And that's what we need to heal. Thanks for listening. I wasn't done. The storm blowing in. I forgot my last point. What happens when we hold someone accountable to doing the work and they are not receptive to doing the work? What happens when someone is not willing to grow with me? What then? Sometimes someone is not willing to grow. And oftentimes what that means is that we get to set some boundaries and that the relationship changes, which comes with its own grief. when it comes to the work that so many of us are needing to do, it can feel overwhelming with where do we go from here? There's so much work to do. Some people aren't even willing to look at this. Choose courage within your scope. Model the work for the people who are watching you. The people you lead, the people you work with, the people you live with. Modeling is our strongest tool. And yes, sometimes when we ask people to do some work and change because they have hurt us, they simply may not be willing. So we get to rumble with that, with the grief and the disappointment, and most likely the relationship changes some. So, super wordy, too many minutes. I'd love to know your thoughts.